My name is Rose. I'm 20 years old. I moved to Los Angeles to become a musician. I arrived with only a guitar and a little bit of money. The city felt big and scary. I had no family to help me. I felt very alone. I lived in a small apartment and worked at a coffee shop to pay my rent. Life was hard. I went to many music auditions, but the answer was always the same: no. They said I wasn't ready. I started to feel hopeless. My dream felt so far away. One day, my manager, David, called me. He usually called with bad news, so I felt nervous. But this call was different. He told me a famous music producer was looking for someone like me. But the job wasn't for a band or a movie. It was a private role. I didn't understand. David said the pay was very high. It could solve all my money problems. I was scared. What kind of job was this? Was it safe? I thought about my empty wallet and my tiny apartment. I needed money. So I said yes. I arrived at a big, beautiful house. I felt very nervous. A tall man opened the door. He was a music producer named Mr. Harrison. He was 50 years old and wore a simple, dark suit. Mr. Harrison said he wasn't looking for a singer for a song. He wanted a wife. I was shocked. A wife? He explained that he needed a calm, quiet wife. She must not ask many questions. She just had to be there for him. He offered to pay me $20,000 every month. That was more money than I had ever seen. He said I would live a life of luxury. He gave me one night to think about it. I went back to my tiny apartment. I couldn't sleep. I thought about my dream of becoming a musician, but I also thought about my problems. The next day, I called him and said yes. We got married quickly. I moved into Mr. Harrison's big house. He gave me expensive gifts and beautiful clothes, but he always seemed far away. He never kissed me or showed love. I had to follow his rules. I wasn't allowed to ask many questions, and I could never go into his music studio. I had money, but I wasn't happy. I felt so alone. At night, I looked at his closed bedroom door. Why did he marry me? Was I just part of a plan? One night, Mr. Harrison took me to a big party. I was standing alone when a woman came up to me. "Hello, Rose," she said. "I'm Kate. I'm his ex-wife." My heart started to beat fast. I didn't know he had been married before. Kate moved closer and whispered, "He married you because of the will. He needs to stay married for 1 full year. If he does, he gets his family's money If he doesn't, all the money goes to his son, Leo. My heart broke. I wasn't really a wife. I was just part of his plan. Later, I found Mr. Harrison alone. I asked him about the will. He looked at me and said, "Don't listen to Kate. She's just angry." Then he turned away. After the party, I met his son Leo. He was around 25. He was handsome, but very angry. "You're a gold digger," he shouted. "You just want my father's money." I wanted to tell him he was wrong, but he wouldn't listen. Mr. Harrison told me to stay away from Leo. "He's angry," he said. But I couldn't ignore Leo. We saw each other often. At first, we always argued. Then we started to talk about other things. We shared our dreams. One day, Leo said, "My father is hiding something from you, Rose, something about your past." My heart began to beat fast. I had to find out the truth. Mr. Harrison had one strict rule. I must never go into his music studio. It was always locked. But now I felt I had no choice. I had to go in. One night, when he wasn't home, I went to the studio. I opened the door and looked around. In a drawer, I found a small box. Inside was an old photograph. It showed a young woman holding a baby. I looked closely at the baby's face. It was me. I was sure of it. Next to the woman stood a young man. It was a younger Mr. Harrison. He and my mother together. I was shocked. I took the photo with me. When Mr. Harrison came home, I showed him the picture. "What is this?" I asked. His face changed. "That's your mother," he said quietly. "Her name was Grace." Then he told me the whole story. He had known my mother many years ago. She was a musician too. They had been good friends. He said she died when I was very young. Before she died, he promised to always take care of me. He said he married me to keep that promise. He wanted to give me a good life without money problems. He never wanted me to know the real reason. I felt confused. I needed to be alone. I went to the garden. Leo was there. He looked worried. "Rose, you have to listen to me," he said. "My father is a bad man. He will hurt you. You need to leave him." I knew Leo was trying to make me leave so he could get the money for himself. Later that night, the doorbell rang. It was Mr. Harrison. He looked sad. "Rose," he said, "I never planned to fall in love with you." My heart beat fast. Love. He had just told me how he felt. And he waited. The 1-year anniversary of our marriage was very close. I remembered Kate's words about the will. I had to choose. A week later, I went to his house. I took the marriage contract and threw it into the fireplace. I watched it burn. If I stay, I said, it's not for the money. It's for something real. He walked over to me and gently took my hand. Then he held his copy of the contract and tore it into small pieces. That day, my life changed. I knew his love was real. Leo still said bad things, but I didn't care. Mr. Harrison and I got married again, this time for love. Soon I got my first music contract. I no longer needed money to feel safe. I had a husband who loved me for who I was. Months passed after Rose and Mr. Harrison tore up their contract. Without the weight of money or secrets, something unexpected began to bloom between them. Something real. Rose started to see him not as a rich older man, but as someone who had been deeply hurt, just like her. Mr. Harrison, too, softened. He smiled more often. He sat with her while she practiced music, giving quiet support. He listened when she spoke about her childhood and her dreams. They began to spend their evenings in the garden, drinking tea, watching the stars. Sometimes they spoke for hours. Sometimes they just sat in silence. But even the silence felt full. Slowly, Rose realized that she was no longer lonely. She felt seen. She felt safe. She felt loved. One day, while walking by the beach, Mr. Harrison stopped. He looked into Rose's eyes and said, I never thought I would find love again at this age. But you reminded me that love has no rules, no age, no limits, only honesty. Rose smiled and took his hand. I didn't expect this either, she said. But maybe love comes when we stop looking and start healing. Rose continued to grow as a musician. Her music became full of feeling, pain, hope, strength. She dedicated her first album to her mother, Grace. And Mr. Harrison, he was her biggest fan. He stood at every show, quietly cheering, proud of the woman she had become. They built a new kind of life, one built on understanding, healing, and trust. It wasn't a perfect story, but it was theirs, and it was filled with love.